I mean, the brain in and of itself is such an amazing thing and such a complex thing, and it's a universe into itself that if you unlock aspects of your brain, there's a lot there to go into without having to bring in some external force.
Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't
So
mean the external force doesn't exist. It
it doesn't
just
mean it doesn't
means that,
exist, but in my
yeah.
mind, my explanation is the simplest explanation. And in general, I go to the simpler explanation when you start getting into this kind of thing.
Oh, Occam's
Occam's
razor.
razor.
Occam's razor. Yeah. And I don't disagree with that because I would assume, I'd be careful with the word assume, that that's probably, so what it's stating is that usually, most of the time, which means more than half the time, usually the simplest explanation of something is probably going to be the right answer. Not exclusively, not 100% sure, but usually.
Yeah.
Right? If you had to flip a coin, I'd go with that as
So
well.
if I had an explanation of it's all inside your head, it's an external
Yeah,
dimension, it's an external force, it's an external whatever. Right? Like I said, we can do
yeah,
a certain amount of testing to try to eliminate as much of the external world that we can control. But again,
yeah,
if it's
right.
another dimension, I don't know how you control that. Um, but if the explanation is it's all in the biochemistry of your head versus there's some external thing going on, the in your head seems to me to be the simpler explanation. Right. And I do this a lot. I'll think through 4 or 5 ideas on something and I'll say, what's the probability of one of these being right? And usually I can come up with a weighted probability, but sometimes I can't. And when I can't, then I start looking at things like this. How complex is this explanation versus that explanation?
Yeah, so as an engineer, what I would do is I'd be like, okay, I need to put measurement on this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't measure it, then I can't say anything about it. I don't know. I just don't know what it is, right?
See, and that's where we differ. 'Cause, like you say you can't put anything, you can't make a claim about it because you can't measure it. And my thought
Yeah,
is,
right.
when I can't measure it, what can I use to make a judgment call? And that's when I get to something like Occam's razor.
Yeah, I mean, these are really rough rules of thumb, but my thought is if I can't measure it, I mean, I could probably assume that's right because that sounds reasonable to me, but I'm just making that up in my head. I don't know for sure that's true. You know?
Well, Scott, but that's part of being human is that even when you've calculated something out and figured it out, are you ever 100% sure? You're pretty sure. Your logic says this. Your understanding of science says this. But at the end of the day, part of being a good scientist is understanding you could be wrong.
Yeah, here's the thing with science is that assuming I can measure it, assuming I can reproduce it, I can put up a process. Let's say we want to make a cake, right? And I made a good cake, and I'm going to send this recipe to 500 other scientists, and they're going to report back. It's like, yeah, I did this thing, I followed your directions, and yeah, pretty much about the same thing came out, except for a couple. And then a couple of like, no, it didn't work at all. And I'm like, what? Wait, what? That makes no sense. And then I start digging into the data, and I found that these two other guys that didn't work out live at like 18,000 feet. And then I'm starting to think, ooh, I wonder if there's more variables, or I wonder if somehow their location changed the outcome of this
So,
cake in some way.
in the scenario where you sent out this cake recipe and a few people didn't get the results they wanted to, you were basically measuring what you knew and you said, okay, based upon my measurements, I think this is the way it is.